The Luanda Leaks is an exploration into the origins of the wealth of Africa's richest woman, Eduardo dos Santos, and her family, her husband Santiago de Colo. And what we found was that massive portions of her $2 billion fortune comes from her ties to her father, the former president of Angola, Jose Eduardo dos Santos, who bestowed on her stakes in wireless companies that required a state license, a state diamond company, contracts for massive construction projects in Luanda, the capital of Angola, and many other contracts and deals done on favorable terms. We discovered that she and her husband created basically an archipelago of companies around the world, more than 200, which we uncovered, and many of them in secrecy jurisdictions, tax havens. And basically what I think we demonstrated was that a lot of this fortune came at the expense of the Angolan people, the people who live in an extremely poor country. But this is much more than a exploration of African corruption or one person's fortune. This is really about the global financial system that makes it possible. None of this would have been possible, in fact. All of these sophisticated tax shelters and havens and contracts and deals were all vetted, created, and moved by a small army of elite Western financial advisors, legal advisors, accountants, and consultants who essentially were able to help her spirit enormous amounts of wealth out of Angola and into US dollars, which is where it counts. So in that sense, this is really less about the rise of a single fortune, but more about a global financial system that's become essentially a vehicle for shifting wealth from the many to the few. I was really pleased to be a part of this particular investigation. I was a senior editor on it and was able to work across the series of stories that we did, and it was a bit of a test for us at the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists, because it comes only 2 months after our last big project, which is the China cables about the mass detention camps in Xinjiang. It's actually fourth or fifth project we've done in the last 6 or 8 months, which really tests our model, because in previous years, with the Panama Papers, the Paradise Papers, the implant files, and the rest, these projects came once a year, and they require enormous amounts of research and fact checking and document exploration and document preparation and structuring in our database, and these are extremely labor intensive and effort intensive and intensive generally projects. So we've started to kind of ramp up production, which I hope sort of takes us into sort of a new era of being able to be more present with repeated investigations or several investigations over the course of a year. I think that will increase the amount of information we're able to provide to the public and increase our presence on the journalism stage.